Okay, moving on to round 16, we are going to join with a standing single crochet in the last stitch before any chain 2 point space. Okay, so here's our chain 2 point space, here's our last stitch, single crochet in there. Okay, now you're going to chain 2 and you're going to skip that chain 2 space and then single crochet in the next 8 stitches. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay, so we've skipped that chain 2 space and then single crocheted in 8 stitches. We're now going to skip the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we're going to work in 3 stitches, so it's the 3 single crochets that we made at the bottom here. They're the 3 stitches we're going to work into. Okay, so skip 3, and in the next stitch, which is the first of those singles, we're going to treble crochet, chain 1 3 times. Okay, so let's just make sure we're, yep, that's the right one. Okay, so treble, chain 1, treble, chain 1, treble, chain 1. Okay, so we've done treble, chain 1 3 times. Then we're going to treble in the next stitch, which is the middle one of those 3 single crochets. And then in the next stitch, we're going to chain 1 treble 3 times. Okay, so chain 1 and treble, chain 1 and treble, chain 1 and treble. Okay, so we've worked those trebles over those 3 single crochets. Now we're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to single crochet in 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, which brings us back up to the point again, so that matches to where we started on this side. Okay, so your repeat is chain 2, skip the chain 2 space, single crochet in 8, skip 3, and then this group of trebles and chain 1s is worked over the 3 single crochets. So in the first one you're going to treble, chain 1 3 times, treble in the second one, and then chain 1 treble 3 times in the next one, skip 3, single crochet in 8. Okay, so go ahead and repeat that 5 more times, join to your standing single crochet, fasten off and secure your ends. Okay, moving on to round 17. we're going to join with a standing single crochet in the last stitch before any chain 2 point space. Okay, so that's that last single crochet there that we join into, and we're then going to make 3 single crochet working over this chain 2 and into this one. Okay, so just straight over and in, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so you've got 3 single crochet in there, and you'll find when you work over the chain and into essentially the row below, because you don't want to squish it really tight, the bottom part of the stitch becomes slightly longer than a normal single crochet. Okay, so don't pull too tight here, leave it with a little bit of length, and you will see why in the next few rounds. Okay, we are then going to single crochet in the next 6, so make sure you don't miss that first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Over the next few rounds you are going to make quite a lot of single crochets in between the bits that are going to sit here as we bring this up to make a point change direction into here. Okay, so keep your tension with your single crochet just slightly relaxed, don't make them too tight because it will cause this to pull in too much. Okay, so just remember, don't change hook size or anything like that, just remember to just keep your hands relaxed as you're working and don't pull too tightly on your yarn. Okay, we are going to skip the next stitch and then we're going to double crochet in the next one, so that's the last of those single crochets that we're going to make a double into. We're then going to chain 1, skip the next stitch and double crochet in the chain 1 space 6 times. Okay, so chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the chain 1 space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Chain 1, skip that next stitch and then double crochet in the next stitch, so that's the first single crochet, so that you're mirroring that other side. Skip the next stitch and then single crochet in 6. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and that will bring you to the stitch before the chain 2 space. Okay, so that is your repeat. So you're going to make 3 single crochet working over the chain 2 space of round 16 and into the chain 2 space of round 15. 6 singles, skip 1, double crochet in that last single and then chain 1, skip the treble, double crochet into the chain 1 space 6 times, chain 1, skip that last treble, double crochet into that first single, skip the next one, and then 6 single. Okay, so go ahead, repeat that 6 times, omitting that last single crochet that we already made. Join to that standing single crochet, fasten off, secure your ends, and I will see you for round 18. Okay, moving on to round 18, we are going to join with a standing single crochet in the single before the first double of any repeat. So that's our first double, that's our single there. So that is where we're going to join. Okay, zoom out a weeny bit, that's it. Okay, back post single around the next stitch, and then working in front of the chain 1 space, we're going to double treble in the next stitch of round 16. Okay, so double treble is yarn over 3 times, into the stitch, bend the chain 1 space back, and make your double treble. Back post around the next stitch, double treble in the next stitch from round 16. Okay, you'll notice when I make excuse me, when I make longer stitches, I keep my finger on the loops to stop them sliding up and down the hook, and I also hold the stitch at the bottom as I do each yarn over and through 2, and that's what stops those 2 top loops from becoming too big. Okay, so just a little handy hint for you there. So we're going to carry on and do that 7 times. And if you've done many of my other patterns, you will have come across this stitch before. I first did it in Mandala Madness, and it was a bit of an accident really, because it was meant to be a treble that I was doing just to fill in the gap, and I just got a bit carried away with the number of yarn overs, and that's why it ended up as a double treble, which folds forward and gives you that lovely sort of raised stitch. Okay. So that's number 6. And there we go, number 7 goes in there. Okay, and then we're going to back post single around that last double crochet, and then single crochet in the next 6 stitches. Okay, so that's all 6 of those singles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Chain 2, skip the next 3 stitches, so that's the one that are made over the chain space and down into the next one, and then single crochet in 6. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, which brings us to sort of where we started here with the standing single crochet in that last single crochet there. Okay, so that's your repeat. Back post single around the double, double treble into our skipped stitch from round 16 7 times, back post single around that last double, and then 6 single, chain 2, skip those 3, 6 single. Okay, so go ahead and do that 6 times in total. So there's 1, another 5 needed, and then finish by joining to this standing single crochet that we started with there. Round 19, we're going to join with a standing single crochet in the first stitch after any chain 2 space. Okay, so here's our chain 2 space, that's our first stitch there, so single crochet into there, that's where we're going to join. Okay, I'm going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, so that's the single and the back post single, and then in the next stitch, which is this first double treble, we are going to make 4 treble, a picot, and then 4 treble. Okay, so that's 1, 2, oops, 3 and 4 treble. Then our picot, we're going to chain 3 and then come down. Let me zoom in so you can see this really closely. Behind the front loop of the stitch and through the side loop. Okay, so I do have a video tutorial for perfect picots, and that is exactly what you have just made there. The reason that I make them like this is, firstly, they actually sit straight, they don't skew your stitches off to one side, but also it means that you've actually got a little chain 3 loop that's very, very easy to work into. Whereas if you secure here with a slip stitch, it actually makes it very difficult to get through that picot. Okay, and in the next few rounds you will be working into these picots, so that's why I recommend do it as a perfect picot. Okay, and then we're going to make another 4 treble into that same stitch. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, we're then going to skip the next 2 stitches and single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so skip the single, double treble and single crochet into that single, and you're going to repeat that 3 times. Okay, so skip 2, make the next little pointy bit into that next double crochet. Okay, I'm just going to make those next 2 groups and then I will come back to you. Okay, so we've got 3 groups of 8 treble and a picot, 2 singles in between there. So with this 3rd repeat we need to make sure that we skip 2 stitches, back post single, that single, and then single crochet in that next stitch. Okay, so that is our 3 repeats, ending with this single crochet made into the 2nd single of our little group of 6 there. We're now going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches, so 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then working over the chain 2 space, single crochet into these next 3 stitches of round 17. Okay, so again, because you're working over the chain, make sure that you pull that loop up level with the top. Don't do this tight so it squashes it down, because you're needing to keep everything in the same line. So this single crochet must be level with that one. Okay, so just lift it up ever so slightly to make it just slightly longer than a normal single crochet. You're then going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches, making sure you don't skip this first one here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that brings us to the same place as this one. So we've got 1 single crochet left here, and then the back post single, which are the 2 stitches that we're going to skip at the beginning of the repeat. Okay, so there's your repeat starting here with the skip 2, and then you've got 3 groups of 8 treble with a picot, so 4 treble, picot, 4 treble, skip 2, single crochet, 1, 2, 3 times, single crochet in 4, and then single crochet over the chain 2 space and into those 3 singles from round 17, and then single crochet in 5. Okay, so if I just zoom right in, you will notice how this rolls forward, don't worry. Okay, but the tops of the stitches are level, but effectively the post of the single crochet comes down slightly longer than the ones next to it, and that is how it needs to be, so that you're not pulling down tight here or stretching this up. Okay, there we go. So carry on around and repeat that 5 more times, so 6 times in total, and then when you come back to the beginning here, join, fasten off, secure the ends. Round 20 we're going to join with a standing back post single around the last treble of the last treble group of any repeat. So This is the last treble group. There's the last treble, so a standing back post single around that last treble. Okay, then we're going to skip the next stitch, so that's the first single there, and single crochet in 4. So we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then we're going to chain 2 and skip 3 stitches again, so that's the 3 singles that we made over that chain and down into this group. And we're then going to single crochet in 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 and 4. So then we've got 1 single crochet left before the treble group begins. I'm going to skip that one, and then we're going to back post single around the next 8 stitches. Okay, so that's around the 8 trebles. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay, so back post singles around those, and it will push the picot forward a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to zoom out a weeny bit. That's it. Okay, then we're going to front post single around the next stitch, so that's the single crochet there in the middle. Whoops. Front post single around there, and we're going to do that twice, so 8 more back post singles, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, and then front post round the next one, and then back post single around the next 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay, so that takes us level to where we started there. Okay, so your repeat is 4 single, chain 2 and skip the 3 here, 4 single, skip 1 stitch there, back post single around 8, front post single around that little single there, and again back post around 8, front post, back post around 8. Okay, so again fairly simple repeat, 6 times all the way round, join to that standing back post single, fasten off and secure your ends. Round 21, we're going to join with a standing single crochet in the single crochet after any chain 2 space. Okay, so there's our chain 2 space, so single crochet in that first stitch and then single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. Okay, then we're going to single crochet 2 together over the next 2 stitches, so that's that single there and the first back post single. Okay, so single crochet 2 together is through that stitch, pull up a loop, through the next stitch, pull up a loop, join the 2 together. We're then going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches. That's 3 and 4. We're then going to skip 3, which are those 3 back post singles. Then in the next stitch, which is the front post single, we're going to make another point the same as these, so 4 treble, picot, 4 treble. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Get some more yarn and then a picot, chain 3 and then under the front loop and the top side loop of the stitch make our picot and then 4 more trebles. 1, 2, 3 and 4. We are then going to skip 3 stitches. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 and single crochet in the next 2. And then we're going to repeat that again. So we've got those 3 to skip there, and we're going to make another little pointy picot group here, so 4 treble, and then a picot, 1, 2, 3, and then another 4 treble in the same stitch. You may notice as I'm working I tend to put my thumb over this bit, because as you're making the trebles and coming through it's ever so easy to catch your hook in there, so just bending it down out of the way helps to stop the hook from catching where you don't want it to. Just a little handy little tip for you. Okay, was that 3 and that's number 4. Okay, and then we are going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then single crochet in the next 4. 2, 3 and 4, and then we're going to single crochet 2 together over the last back post single and the first single. So in, pull up a loop, in, pull up a loop, and through all 3 loops. And then we are going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. And then, as we did here, we're going to work over the chain 2 space and single crochet in each of these 3 stitches. Just remembering to pull up slightly so that you're almost making a long single crochet, but not quite. Okay, and then single crochet in the next 3. So don't skip that very first one there after the chain 2 space. 1, 2 and 3. Okay, which leaves us ready to start the next repeat with the single crochet 2 together there. Okay, so there's our repeat that starts from the single crochet 2 together here and then builds up 2 more of our little points and comes down and across, and we're also starting to build up this little sort of lozenge shaped piece that we're going to do here. Okay, so go ahead 6 times and you're going to omit the last 3 single crochets because we made those at the beginning there. Okay, so come all the way round, join to that standing single crochet, fasten off and secure your ends. Okay, round 22 we are going to join with a standing back post single around the last treble of any second 8 treble group. Okay, so this is our second 8 treble group, so we're going to back post single around that last treble like that. Okay, and now we start the repeat. So we're going to skip the next stitch, which is this first single, and we're then going to single crochet through the picot from round 19 and into the next stitch. Okay, so if you've done the perfect picots, you will find it very easy to slip your hook through that picot, and then make sure you skip that first stitch and go into that second one. Straight through both of those and make your single. Okay, and we're then going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches. Okay, so here's the one that we've worked through. So this is the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So again, that will take us to the last single crochet before this little group of 3. And again, we're going to chain 2 and skip those 3 stitches and then single crochet in the next 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, so we've got 2 single crochets left there. So we are going to single crochet through the picot of round 19 and the next stitch. So through the picot into the next single and then single crochet. Okay, this little repeat we're going to do as we work across this point. So single crochet through the picot and that stitch, skip that next stitch in there, and then back post single around the next 8 stitches. Okay, so that's around our point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay, then we start again through the picot into the next stitch, so that's the first single crochet there. Skip that next stitch, the next single crochet, and back post single around 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So we've done that repeat twice to work around those points. Okay. We are then going to we're going to skip that next stitch so it matches to this one, through the picot and the next stitch, so make sure that you're going into the second one, and we're then going to single crochet in the next stitch. So if you need to, turn your work over to see that you've got a stitch in here, so this is the next stitch you're going into. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, chain 2, skip those 3, and then in the next 6, and carry on all the way around making that repeat. So we've got a single through the picot and that stitch, then we've got 6 single, chain 2, 6 single through the picot and that next stitch, skip 1, back post single in 8, through the picot and the single, skip the next single, back post through the 8, and keep going all the way around. Okay, and then join to your standing back post single here, fasten off and secure your ends. Round 23, where we're going to add the last point in here. So we're going to start with a standing single in the last stitch before any chain 2 space, which takes us in there, and then again we're going to work over this chain 2 and single crochet in each of these stitches. And again, remember, don't skip that first stitch after those 3. We are going to single crochet in the next 12 stitches. There we go, 1, 2, oops, 3, sorry, get hold of my yarn properly, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. Okay, so 12 single crochet. We're then going to skip 3 and we're going to make another little pointy bit into the single crochet that goes through that picot. Okay, so again it's 4 treble, a picot and 4 treble. That's, oops, 3, 4, chain 3 for our picot, through the front loop and the side, pull through all 3, and then 4 more treble, that's 2, let's bend him out the way, 3 and 4. We're then going to skip 3 stitches and single crochet in 12. So 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whoops, 10, 11 and 12 brings us again to that last stitch before our little chain 2 space. Okay, so there's your repeat. So we've now got a perfect point there. So go ahead and do that 5 more times, so 6 times in total. Join to your standing single crochet, fasten off and secure your ends. Okay, round 24. Again, we're going to join with a standing excuse me, back post single around the last treble of any repeat, because we've only got the one little point this time. So, oops, back post single around that last treble. We're then going to single crochet through the picot from round 21 and the next stitch. Now this time we're not skipping any stitches, so make sure that as you then single crochet in the next 11 stitches, you're not skipping that first one. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. Okay, again we're going to chain 2 and skip those 3 stitches. We're then going to single crochet in 11, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11, which leaves us one more single crochet there. So we're going to go through the picot and into that single. It's much easier working it coming up this way rather than when we came down, because we're not hiding that stitch. Okay, we're then going to back post single around the last 8 stitches, or the next 8 stitches should I say. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Okay, and that makes our full repeat. So we have come from that standing back post single, gone through the picot and into the next stitch, 11 single, chain 2, 11 single, through the picot and the next one, and then 8 back post singles. Okay, so again, nice simple round. Go ahead and repeat that 6 times, join to your standing back post single and fasten off. Round 25, join with a standing single crochet in the single made through the first picot of any repeat. So that's this one here. So we're going to join with a standing single crochet in there. Okay. Now we're going to half double in the next 2 stitches. And then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch, 2 double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, pop a stitch marker in that chain 1 space. Just, you're not going to find it difficult to find it as such, but it just helps you with your repeats and to know where you're going. Okay, so then 2 double crochet in the next stitch, and then double crochet in the next stitch and half double in the next 2. Okay, so then that brings us, our next stitch is that single crochet that's made through the picot. So we're now going to single crochet in the next 12 stitches. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. Okay. Now working over the chain 2 space and into these 3, this time we are going to single crochet 3 together. So we're going to bring it up sort of to a point. Okay, so into the first one, pull up a loop, into the second one, pull up a loop, into the third one, pull up a loop. And remember, you need to sort of bring those loops up to the level of your other stitches. You don't want it to pull down too much. Okay, and then single crochet in the next 12 stitches. Seven, 8, sorry about Mr. J grumping on the floor there, 11 and 12. Okay, so that is that's our repeat, working around the point, down, working that 3 together to finish that little bit off. Go ahead, do that 5 more times, join to your standing single crochet, fasten off and secure your ends. Round 26, going to join with a standing single crochet in the last stitch before any chain 1 point space. Okay, so that's the second of those 2 double crochets that we made there. So standing single crochet. Okay, now I would suggest that you move your stitch marker into that first stitch. Okay, and you will see why in a moment. We're going to make 3 single crochets working through this picot and into that chain 1 space. Okay, so through the picot, into the chain 1, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so now you can see the reason for putting this stitch marker in, because we need to make 17 single crochets, making sure we don't skip that first stitch. Okay, so that's the first one. 2, 3, 15, 16 and 17, which brings us to our single crochet 3 together. We're going to front post single around that stitch, and again make sure that you don't skip that first stitch after, as you single crochet again in the next 17. (14, 15, 16 and 17 brings us to that last stitch before the chain 1 space. Okay, so again, very simple repeat. Just as you make those 3 single crochet through the picot and into that chain space, just move your stitch marker into that first stitch, and it will help to make sure that you don't accidentally skip it. 17 single crochet, a front post single around that single 3 together, and then another 17 singles. Okay, so 6 times altogether. join to the standing single, fasten off and secure your ends. Round 27, we're going to join with a standing single crochet in the first single made in any chain 1 point space. So that was the group of 3 that we made through the picot and into the chain 1 space. So standing single in that first stitch. Okay, let me zoom out a weeny bit. That's it. Okay, so now single crochet in the next 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so now we start our repeat. So we're going to half double in the next 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. And we're then going to chain 1, skip the next stitch and then make a 3 double crochet cluster in the next stitch, and we're going to do that 3 times. Okay, so chain 1, skip 1 and then a 3 double cluster in the next stitch. Okay, so 3 times. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then to make our 3 double cluster, yarn over once, into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, and that's our first partial double. We need to do that 3 times. 2 and 3. 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 4. Okay, chain 1, skip 1, 3 double crochet cluster in the next stitch. There we go. Okay, so chain 1, 3 double cluster 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And now we are going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and 3 treble cluster in the next stitch, and we're going to do that 5 times. Okay, so for our treble cluster, yarn over twice, already chained 1, skip that next stitch, into the stitch, pull up your loop, yarn over and through 2 loops twice. That's our partial treble. And we need 3 in the same stitch. Okay, 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all of the loops, and we need to do that 5 times. So skip 1, and then through all of the loops. Okay, so they are your treble clusters. So the 3rd treble cluster is going to fall into that front post stitch that we made there. Okay, so I'm just going to make the next 3 and then I'll catch up with you again. So that's 5 3 treble clusters with a chain 1 space in between each one. And then we're going to mirror this side, so we're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch and a 3 double crochet cluster in the next stitch. Okay, and we're going to do that 3 times. So 1, 2 and 3. Okay, we're then going to chain 1, skip the next stitch and half double crochet in the next 4 stitches. 2, 3 and 4, so that matches exactly to what we did at the beginning here. And we're then going to single crochet in the next 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Okay, so that's our repeat. Don't worry if it curls forward. It will sit flat once we finish the next couple of rounds. Okay, so our repeat starts from the 4 half doubles. We've then got I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see it more closely. There we go. So we've got 4 half doubles, chain 1, skip a stitch, 3 double crochet, cluster 3 times, chain 1, skip a stitch, 3 treble cluster 5 times, chain 1, skip a stitch, 3 double cluster 3 times, chain 1, skip a stitch, 4 half doubles and then 7 singles to finish the repeat. Okay, so go ahead and do that 6 times in total. Join to your standing single crochet with a slip stitch, because we're going to carry on with the same colour yarn for the next 4 rounds. Okay, unless if you want to change colours and do things differently, or if you're going to carry on working with the same colour all the way through, then all you need to do is work out where I cut the yarn or where I don't, and you just start in the same spot. Okay, round 28, we're going to chain 1 and single crochet in that same stitch that we joined to with the slip stitch, and then single crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, and then we're going to begin our repeat. So we're going to half double in the next 3 stitches. So we've got 1, 2 and 3. And then we've got a little repeat that we're going to do 4 times. We're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch. Okay, so we're going to skip that last half double, and then in the chain 1 space we're going to make a 3 double crochet cluster. Okay, so chain 1, skip that next stitch, and then a 3 double cluster in that chain 1 space. Oops. Okay, so again, chain 1, 2 and 3, so that's number 2, and number 3, and number 4. Okay, so chain 1, skip the next stitch, 3 double crochet, cluster in the next chain 1 space, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And now we're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and 3 treble cluster in the next chain 1 space, and we're going to do that 4 times. Okay, so 3 partial trebles give us our cluster, chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then we're making all of our clusters into the chain 1 spaces this time. 2, and 3, and number 4, oops, and there we go. Okay, so that's 4 3 treble clusters, and then we're going to mirror this other side, so we're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then a 3 double crochet cluster in the next chain 1 space, and we're going to do that 4 times again. Okay, so there's number 2. And that's number 3. And there's number 4. Okay, now we're going to chain 1 and skip that next hidden stitch, because where we've made that cluster it's covered the top, so remember always to look for the post of a stitch to make sure that you're not skipping an extra stitch anywhere. Okay, so we're skipping that one, and then 3 half doubles, 1, 2 and 3, and then we are going to single crochet in the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Okay, and the hint does tell you that your work will cup, and it will curl over on these corners. Again, don't worry, over the next couple of rounds all of this will lay nice and flat. Okay, so go ahead and make that repeat all the way round, so 6 times altogether. You'll have 4 3 double crochet clusters, 4 3 treble clusters, 4 3 double clusters with 3 half doubles on either side, and then 7 singles around the corner. Okay, again join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch, and I will see you for the next round. Okay, moving on to round 29. Again, we're going to chain 1 and single crochet in the same stitch, and we're then going to single crochet in the next 5. 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay. Going to half double crochet in the next 2, and then we've got a little repeat that we're going to do 12 times in all. So you're going to half double in the chain 1 space, and then front post half double around the next stitch. Okay, so it's once, twice, it's 3 times, and 4, oops, okay, so 12 times in total. And that's 11 and 12. Okay, so that was half double crochet in the chain 1 space, and then a front post half double around the next stitch 12 times. We're going to half double in the next chain 1 space, and then half double in the next 2 stitches, and there's a little hint to not skip this first stitch. Okay, so make sure that you get into that first one, and that's 2, and we're then going to single crochet in 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Excuse me. Okay, so that's our repeat. So it's half double in 2, and then half double in the chain 1 space, and sorry, lifted it up too high. Chain 1 space, front post half double 12 times, and then again we've got half double in the chain 1 space and half doubles in the next 2 stitches, and then 9 singles. So carry on all the way round. 6 repeats in total. We've already made the first 6 single crochets here, so omit those last 6 and then join to that first one with a slip stitch. Okay, on to round 30. Now the hint at the beginning is to place a stitch marker in the second double crochet of each increase, just to help with your stitch counts. Okay, so we are going to chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, or if you want to, you can make a starting stitch there. Okay, and then our repeat. Okay, so this is the stitch that we joined to, so that's where our chain 3 sits. Our next stitch we are going to make 2 double crochet. And pop a marker in the second one. Okay, we're then going to double crochet in the next 9. It's 7, 8 and 9. And then 2 double crochet in the next stitch. Place a marker in the second one, and then double crochet in the next 8. Okay, so because your repeats are 9 double crochet, or 2 in one stitch, then 9, then 2 in a stitch, and then 8, that's why I recommend using the markers in the second double crochet of each increase, because it can get a little bit confusing. I mean, if you want to be really clever, use 2 different colours. So for the increase before the 9, use one colour, and then let's be clever here, and the increase before 8, use a different colour. That way, if you're watching TV or get distracted or anything like that while you're working, it's much easier to work out whether you're on an 8 or a 9. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 7 and 8. Okay, so that's our repeat. 2, 9, 2, 8. Okay, so we start again with a 2, and then we go into a 9. Okay, so carry on all the way round, and then when you get to the end, join to the top of the chain 3, fasten off and secure your ends, and I will catch up with you when I get to the end. Okay, so that's the end of part 1. Your work will still cup slightly. If you want to block it so that you can take a nice photo, then literally just smooth it and pin it flat. Don't stretch anything out at all. Or if you're using an acrylic, as I am here, then just literally blow it with a warm hairdryer and press with your hands, and it will flatten it out perfectly. But please don't stretch your work and block it at all. Okay, I will see you next time for part 2.